Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about the 21 classics that I want to read in 2021. So let's just jump right in. The first couple books I had on my list last year, and we all know how the year that must not be named went. So these are carryovers, but they're rereads. So the first book is Emma by Jane Austen. This is a really fun book. Next is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. I think from just the chatter around the booktube community, I think this tends to be one of the least favorite of Jane Austen's books for a lot of people. So it's been so long since I've read this, I really don't remember enough to rank it right now. So I'm looking forward to this reread. And it's also, I think, her longest out of her 6 main novels. And then I also want to read Persuasion by Jane Austen. And I'm actually doing a buddy read of this with a few people toward the end of this month. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. So my goal is when I finish the rest of these Jane Austen novels, I want to do a video where I rank them from favorite to least favorite, now that I will have reread them really close together. So I'm really excited about that. So the next 2 books I'm super jazzed about. I wanted to read them last year and it just didn't work out. But the first one is Mary Barton by Elizabeth Gaskell. This is a Victorian literature novel that was really popular among a lot of my booktube friends last year, and I think it'll be really good. I started it, but didn't really finish, and I'm obviously going to need to start it over, but I really liked what I had read so far. And the other one is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I've heard that this is the Pride and Prejudice of the Victorian literature era, and everyone I've talked to has just adored this book. So I think I'm really going to like it. Next is Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is the 3rd book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I'll just be continuing my reread. This is the last one, and I just didn't get to it at the end of last year, but I just adore this series. Next is The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I'm really excited. I haven't read this book since, I think, high school or my first year of undergrad. So I remember absolutely nothing except that I liked it. The next book I want to read is Martin Chesselwitz by Charles Dickens. I'm really trying to read through his works. I'm obviously not going to do it in a year, but I'm starting with the ones that I have not read yet, and this is one of them. I watched the BBC miniseries, and I really liked it, but I've heard the book, you either really like it or you don't really like it, so we'll see. The next book I want to read is Deer Brook by Harriet Martineau. I don't know too much about this, but Kate Howe and Christy Lewis have both talked about it on their channels, and it just sounded wonderful, so I decided to add it to this list. Next is Scenes of Clerical Life by George Eliot. This is her first published work, and it has 3 short novellas in it: The Sad Fortunes of the Reverend Amos Barton, Mr. Gilfil's Love Story, and Janet's Repentance. It sounded really interesting. It deals with like small town and the clergy, and I think it'll be really interesting. I love the cover. It's really just idyllic. The next book I want to read is The Dead House, or Notes from the House of the Dead by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I read this years ago, and once again, I don't remember too much about it, but I know Dostoevsky drew on a lot of his own experiences about being in a Siberian camp and the horrific life of the convicts that live there. And I remember it was really poignant and just heartbreaking at times, but I remember I just thought it was phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to rereading that. Next, I want to read Les Miserables. I've heard a lot of people talking about it, and it just made me really hyped up and want to go back into it. I read it maybe 6-7 years ago, but it's, everybody knows what it's about. And I just remember it was so good, and I loved following all the different characters and how their lives entangled, and that connected with the revolution, and I just thought it was fantastic. It's a huge book, but so worth it. Dead Souls is supposed to be a portrayal of provincial Russian life, and it follows this protagonist that looks for dead souls or the bodies of dead serfs, and apparently he gets money for them or something like that. It sounds twisted, but Gogol is also humorous in his writing, so I'm really looking forward to reading this and seeing how he works both of those into the story. The next book I want to read is Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. This is his 4th novel, I believe, and I think this is supposed to be one of his happier novels. But it's set in Southwest England, and it's supposed to deal with a lot of different things like love and betrayal and honor, and there's a contrast between a seemingly idyllic life versus the harsh realities of a farming community. And I've heard nothing but good things. And I've read Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Hardy, and I really did enjoy that, even though that is a sad book. So I think I'm really going to enjoy this one too. The next book I want to read is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and I am actually reading this now. This follows an unnamed protagonist who falls in love with the dashing Maxim de Winter, and he whisks her off to Manderley, his house, and it is just haunted by his late wife, Rebecca. So things go from there. Really liking it, and this is also a reread, and the writing is just very atmospheric, and I love the narrator. Even though we don't know her name, I feel like we do get to know her as a person, and I just love, as we're going along, getting more details about Rebecca and how that affects the current Mrs. De Winter. So I'm predicting this to be a 4 or 5 star read. The next book I want to read is The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. It's the second Victor Hugo on this list, but I haven't read this since high school, and I'm just in the mood to reread it. But we follow the Hunchback Quasimodo and his life in the bell towers of Notre Dame. There's also a gypsy Esmeralda, and this priest who just becomes obsessed with her. And from what I can remember, it's just really, it's kind of dense but thrilling, and there's a lot going on. But I remember I really enjoyed it, so I'm interested to see if I like it as much now as I did then. The next book I want to read is The Dead Secret by Wilkie Collins. This will be my second Wilkie Collins novel. I've read The Woman in White, and I absolutely loved it, so I'm anticipating liking this one. We're reading it in February and March, I think, for Kate House Patreon, her read-along Most Victorian. And this is a sensation novel, I believe, but it's also very psychological, and it has to do with some kind of secret. And that's all I want to know, because it's not a super long book. I'm really excited, and I think it's going to be a good time. Next, I want to read the Pickwick Papers by Charles Dickens. I love that I keep picking up his gigantic tomes. But I don't know too much about this, but I've heard that this is his funniest novel, and I have not read this one before, but I am really excited. It was his first book, So I'm interested to see how I like this compared to his later novels that I've read. Next, I want to read 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And this one is more of a modern classic, I believe. Originally published in Argentina in 1967. So it's a modern classic, but I'm counting it. There's a read-along going on for this on YouTube. And I've not read this one before. I've read Love in the Time of Cholera, and I really enjoyed it. This follows a family, and that's really all I want to know about it. I don't want to know too much, because this book has been so hyped up, and I don't want to disappoint myself. But I just remember his writing was beautiful, and his character work was phenomenal. So I think I'm really going to like this. Next, I want to read Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. This is a Victorian sensation novel, and I've heard it's fantastic. I don't want to know too much going into it, but I've heard nothing but rave reviews for this book and for Braddon's writing. So I think it's going to be fun. Last but not least, I want to read Shirley by Charlotte Bronte. This was the group book for Victober last year, and I started it and I just couldn't get into it, so I just put it down, and I really want to pick it back up and give it another chance. I think I just wasn't really in the headspace or the mood to read it, because I do love the Bronte's writing, so we'll see. I'm going to give it another try with an open mind. Those are all the classics that I want to read in 2021. I do want to keep up my goal from last year where I read at least one a month, and obviously if I read all of these, I will do that. And I'm going to try to read all of them, but if I don't, it's okay. But I think I picked a good stack. So have you read any of these? If so, which ones? Or if you want to buddy read any of these with me, please let me know, especially on these thicker ones. It's just always fun reading with a friend. So if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you like. And if you just want to let me know you're here but you don't have anything to add, just drop a book emoji or a green heart down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.